Welcome back. We're going to talk about the LCD Lamborghini Revuelto that's coming out very soon. Of course, we have the hot list and another Ferrari perspective. This time it's on the 12 Cilindri. I'm going to touch on a couple of model companies that previewed some models at the Hobby Expo China. I did this back about 2 weeks ago in my Diecast news. So if you haven't seen that, please go back and see that. It's a lot of great information about some new upcoming models. If you don't know, the Hobby Expo China is a trade show and they feature a lot of cars from the diecast car companies. That would include companies like AutoArt, Motorhelix, LCD, Solidio, Almost Real, and the list goes on. And they're from various scales, so it's not just 1/18, they have 12, they have 1/8, they have 1/64 and 1/43. So again, check that video out. What I wanted to talk about specifically today is Motorhelix and LCD. I'm going to start with Motorhelix. Now, Motorhelix previewed a ton of great models. They had several FL5 Civic Type Rs. They had some old school stuff like some spoon models. And then they also had the S2000, specifically the J's Racing S2000. Now, the reason why I feel like that was one of the biggest highlights for this company, because it's the fact that most of the cars that Motorhelix has released have been the standard OEM cars, which is fine. That's what we really want. But the fact that now that they're doing tuner cars, and keep in mind, they have done a few of them. So you have like the Mugen Type Rs, for example. So those are out there, the Civics. They had some other ones as well. And I'm pretty sure Mugen is not a Type R, but you know what I mean. It's a Mugen Honda Civic. But the fact that now they're venturing onto tuner shops like J's Racing says a lot about this company. And this is great news for us collectors. What it means is that they're able to expand their portfolio of models that they make, which means that these things are selling. And they are, because a lot of the older stuff, and I'm not talking years old either, I'm talking about months old product you can no longer find. Try finding the original silver Nissan GTR CR or the Z-Tune. You will find them, but the price is extremely high and they're very limited in circulation. So yes, they are producing models that end up on my hot list, which is that list that basically I go over models that will sell out really quickly. Motorhelix has a lot of those that end up on my hot list. So this J's Racing is absolutely stunning. I love the different options that you have. So they have several from back in that era, including that very infamous one with the crazy paint scheme on it. Now, it's not my favorite, but again, it's a standout, and I'm very sure this one will sell very well. It begs the question, what else are they going to make? Now, I can tell you, I've previewed this before, it's been over a year, but they do have a Skyline with a silhouette. And what it appears to be, and I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, that this is going to be a Liberty Walk. Again, we've only seen prototypes of this, but it's out there. My wish would be, can they make more of these Skyline or GTR R35s Liberty Walks? If they did that, oh my goodness, they would just do bangers. I can remember back in the day when one model and Ignition, especially Ignition, was just producing a bunch of these wide body Liberty Walk Nissans, and they sold very well. And yes, by the way, I actually do have a couple of those too. If there was a full opening version of these, again, I think that would be a great thing for this company. All you can do is, you know, email Motorhelix, I probably will as well, and let them know what you really want. But I definitely think that'll be a top seller. Next, we're going to talk about the LCD Lamborghini Revuelto. This model is due to come out next month, so that'd be December. And guys, just from what I previewed from that Hobby Expo China, this model is going to be a smash hit. It checks every box. It looks fantastic. Of course, we won't know for sure until we actually have the model in hand. But again, so far, this is a great thing. So if we take a look at this model here, it does come in several different colors, and keep in mind there'll be additional colors to come out later, but the first initial colors that look like they're going to be produced is the yellow as well as the orange and white. And if you take a look at this image here, or I should say this quick clip, yeah, this model is fantastic. It looks great. It has everything that I would ever want out of a full diecast model. And keep in mind, this is an actual metal diecast. They do not use a composite material, so this thing is going to be substantial. It's going to have some weight to it. And I know some people get concerned about paint rash when it comes to diecast metal, but I'm not too concerned about that. I think companies have gotten better in mitigating that, but only time will tell. So here's that orange again, and it looks fantastic. I believe this was the initial color when this car was first introduced to the public, and it's a beautiful color. There's your white. They're also going to have the smaller sizes, which would be the I think that's a 143 size, and it is an opening, so that's really great. And I'm just astounded at how much detail is put into this, which makes me a little concerned, and concerned in a way that well, I think it would concern everybody, as we all know. And I just like this. LCD is willing to show you the guts of their models, just to show you that there is a lot of work that was put into this. Now imagine this being a sealed resin. There would not be nearly as much inner workings as you see here on this opening model, and that says a lot. But yeah, these are beautiful. Now the thing that I do want to bring up is that I looked up the pricing on carmodel.com. That is a UK based company. It was the only one that I could find pricing for. I couldn't find a US seller, but the differences in the British pound and the dollar is not really that it's there, but it's not that significant. The pricing on this model from their website, I'm going to show it to you first before I say it. Yeah, it's $377. So in US dollars, you're probably looking at about $390 to $400 depending on the retailer. That is a lot of money for any model. Now, I wasn't too shocked that the almost real Paganis were crossing over that $390 to $400 mark. But for these, I did not expect it, so that is shocking. Now I get it, it is a full opening model. I don't think it has as much detail as a Pagani, but then when you think about LCD and their Paganis, their pricing for their Paganis has never been close to $400. So I don't know where they're getting this pricing from. Is there that much more work put in this car, or is this just the whole case of inflation? Who knows? But my point in bringing this up is I know you guys, some of you are going to have a hard time putting up that kind of money for this Lamborghini, which, you know, I'm glad that they are making these smaller scales, because now they're making a lot of sense. Which actually, I'm actually going to do a video on talking about these different scales at some point, and I mean very soon, because it is something that is turning out to be a great alternative for those who can't afford these larger models. And so I do see that happening. The plus side to it is that those who can't still have options. They can still buy a Revuelto. It won't be the 18th scale, but at least they'll have it, so they can add it to their collection, just a size down. So I do think that's a great thing. There are some things to take in consideration if you are interested in purchasing a model of the Revuelto. There may be other companies that make a full opening Revuelto. No, it won't be Almost Real anytime soon, but AutoArt might. AutoArt has made a ton of Lamborghinis, and yes, they have been slow with the releases big time, but that's not to say that they won't ever come out with this. So that is something to take in consideration, because even though AutoArt's composite material, some people don't like it, admittingly, there is great evidence, and I did a video of this a couple of years ago when I did a resin versus a diecast Aventador from AutoArt, and that composite material, it definitely was better than the die-cast metal auto art. Better in the sense of the shape was better, the lines were sharper and things like that. And so even from what I'm seeing from these photos from this Revuelto, it looks great, but I can definitely only imagine how much sharper the lines would be on a composite material model. So that is something to take in consideration. The other thing to take in consideration is that this is going for $377. Who's to say that the auto art won't be priced lower? And I'm saying that because the auto art Paganis, even if you take inflation in consideration, were priced lower than the almost real and priced equal or slightly less than the LCD Paganis. So that is something else to take in consideration. Again, the only risk that you have is that this is a very popular model. And if you're waiting for the auto art, you might wait too long and miss your opportunity on a particular color at getting it at a decent price. Keep in mind, these are already $377. The other consideration is if you're not a big stickler about the model opening, the parts opening, consider going resin. Because there's already companies that are doing this. I'm very sure Ivy is going to do it, and there's some other Chinese companies that are also going to make this. You can't forget about MR models, for example. There's a really good chance LookSmart, being it's an Italian model maker, them also coming out with a 18th scale of a Revuelto as well. So you do have to take that in consideration. And the plus side to those would be, again, you'd have sharper lines and the paint of all things. LCD has yet to, from my knowledge, and you can correct me, has yet to come out with any models that would that actually have a nice fine flake in the paint. All their paints have been pretty standard. So I don't know if they've not developed it yet, but there hasn't been one. Whereas the resin counterparts, most of these companies are masters at the paints, no matter what they do. Flake, no flake, it doesn't matter. And it has a lot to do with that resin material. It just seems to, the paint seems to adhere better to the resin material. You don't have the risk of any paint rash either. So that is something to take into consideration. And again, the fact that this is being priced at $377 with a discount, by the way, they're priced pretty much the same as the resin counterparts. And again, in some examples, the resin counterparts may be priced lower. So that is something else to take in consideration. Guys, I'd love to hear your opinions on this. I'm looking forward for these coming out. And yeah, let me know. Now we're moving on to the hot list. The hot list are models that are soon to be released or have recently released, and they have the potential to sell out. We're going to start with Motorhelix. Motorhelix has the Nilo, and this thing is fantastic. This is the composite material version. Keep in mind there is an opening die-cast version to follow relatively soon. We have this beautiful red, and then we also have this black with this beautiful silver trim. Motorhelix also has the Honda Integra Type R. This is the DC2 pre-facelift in championship white. There are 2 other colors to follow. This is a fantastic model and should sell extremely well. As mentioned, LCD has the Lamborghini Revuelto. We have 3 colors. We have the yellow, orange, and white. There are other colors to follow. This will sell really well. Norev has a web exclusive, and it is this beautiful Porsche 911 ST. This is the 2023 model, and this is in this beautiful violet color. I don't think I've ever seen a Porsche with a Mistachrome kind of color, but this one has it, and it looks fantastic. The last 2 are from Mini Champs. We have the 718 Spider RS, and it comes in this beautiful glacier silver color. We also have the 718 Spider RS in this beautiful blue. I'm very sure there's a special name for it, but I'm just going to call it blue. These are both full opening, obviously, and they should sell really well, and they are limited editions. Last but not least, we have an honorable mention. So it's not really quite a hot list item, but it was something I just couldn't help but mention. And this is the 18th scale Mercedes Maybach S-Class Night Series, the S680. This car was produced in 2021. This is by Almost Real, and what we have here is the vintage blue. So those who are interested in a baller of a car, here you are. There are additional colors, including this two-toned tan color as well. All of the aforementioned model information can be found on the respective companies' websites, or check your trusted local retailer. And that concludes this week's Hot List. So in my last Spotlight news, I touched on the Ferrari F80 and how I found it a very awkward and unattractive car, but it took a certain video to convince me otherwise, to the point of where I am willing to purchase a model of that particular F80. Now, this one is the 12 Cilindri. So if you're familiar with Novatec, Novatec is basically an aftermarket parts seller. They make a lot of the trim pieces for mostly Ferraris. They do some other cars as well, but their bread and butter is definitely the Ferraris. And they're also very well known for their exhaust systems. Well, this video is another example of when you actually see a car in reality, it definitely puts a different perspective on things. The other thing I want to point out, there's something that really took me over the edge of actually liking this car, and it has a lot to do with a simple minor change that they made to this car. So I'm not going to reveal what it is, but put in the comments if you actually catch it before he mentions it. So let's go ahead and take a look at this.
There we go. Opening up this Cafango reveals the heart of this beast. That 6.5 litre naturally aspirated V12. Funny enough, you can see the Novitec springs over here as well. Now, we'll talk about the hardware and all that stuff that we do a little bit later. First of all, let's see what we did to the rest of the bud.
Did you see it? So I'm going to move over and I'm going to go ahead and reveal what he's talking about here, or what I see here.
These being functional as well. Now, you guys have noticed this side, these being functional as well. Now, you guys have noticed this part over here that used to be in black. I mean, it's kind of like a design cue from Ferrari that they harken back to the, I think it's a 365 Daytona or something. But we've painted that in body color because it was a request from the community. If you're not part of that community, I'd love to hear your voice down in the comments. Do you like this sort of body color look, or would you prefer to have it
That's what I'm referring
black?
to.
This kind of...
That piece alone convinced me to like this car. You see the other, the original without that paint on there. And guys, I mean, maybe it's just me, but man, I think that looks so much better painted. The other thing is that you see this little slit here? I think that's part of an air intake, which adds to this design of this car, I think, to the aesthetic. It being all blacked out, you can't even see it. You can't even see it. But yeah, that's it. That's what convinced me to like this car, was that little trim piece, which I can only imagine there are so many cars sometimes that it only takes a little bit for someone to say, you know what, I really do like this car, or the other way, I really don't like this car. I'll give you another example. I know this is not a world car, but I know it's available in the United States, and that's the Elantra N. So I actually own an Elantra N, and I have the first version, which many people thought the front end of that car was absolutely hideous. I liked it. That's why I chose the year that I did. They revamped it the following after 2 years. So the car came out in 22. So 22 and 23 have the old grille. Anything 24 or beyond has the new grille. And I admit, I like the new grille as well. And I can easily see how that change basically won people over. If we were to actually take sales numbers, and I don't have them, but I'm pretty sure we could grab them, I think that boosted the sales of that car, because when that was out, journalists, public, everyone said they would love that car only if that front end was different. And so Hyundai listened and they changed it. Now, I am not suggesting that Ferrari is going to change that front end, because it is their signature thing now. They have this blackened front end on this car here. They have it on the F80, and they currently have it on that upcoming new Tesla Tarossa, which is a misapplied name for that car, but that's another story for another time. So it's not going away. But like anything else, at least you have options. And taking that trim piece and painting it, to me, is well worth the money. Now, that doesn't mean, and I'm not going to get a model of the 12 Cilindri, and this is why I do collect resin sealed models. And I would say the vast majority of them, I can only think of one right now, but I have the vast majority of my resin sealed models. You can see the engine. So the vast majority of my resin sealed models are Ferraris with engines in the back where you have an exhibition window. So that's the only reason why I buy those, is because I do like the shape, the paint, and most of these are BBRs. The paint is fantastic, and I can still see the motor detail. The door is opening. If it's a Lamborghini, I get it. If it's a standard door, I can see the interior through the windows. I'm good with that. So yeah, my point being is that it would take an opening 12 Cilindri to convince me to buy one, because I do like the car, but because I can't see that engine, there's no way. Barago makes an opening version, Polysteel makes an opening version, but you know what you're getting when you buy those. It's not going to have that quality. So unless BBR steps up and makes a fully opening 12 Cilindri, there is no way I'm going to buy that car. I'd love to hear what you guys say in the comments. Please like and subscribe. That is the best way I'm going to know you're enjoying these videos. I appreciate your time. I look forward to seeing you next time.